It's November 30th, 2014. I guess the other thing that I would add to what I've already talked about is that prior to meeting Alvaro Pardo and being raped by him, I was reintroduced to James Cartwright, who works for the Pentagon, and he was a senior official at the Pentagon, and anyway, was basically someone that I knew as a kid and also as a preteen or as an older kid. And so he showed up again. I didn't recognize him or remember him from then because it had been a couple of decades. But he was around. Well, he showed up at my place of work in Washington, D.C. And I can talk more about that at another time. But what he did is take me to his hotel, and I got suddenly shoved out of housing that I had. And he just happened to appear the same night that he knew that I was out of housing. Said that I could go with him and stay in his hotel. And I said, you mean like is there a separate room, or is there a different, or a couch, or a different floor or something? And he said, yeah. I said, I won't touch you. He kept saying he wouldn't touch me and he wouldn't hurt me. So I didn't really have very many options at that time. And I went with him. And then, and basically, he had a bunch of military backpacks, maybe 30 or so of them piled up in one of the rooms. And then what ended up happening is he said that I could stay on the side of the bed and he'd stay on the other side and he wouldn't touch me again. And there was nowhere else really to sleep. And I actually said, can I sleep on the floor? I'll just take a blanket and sleep on the floor. He said no. And then started acting, probably reminded me in some subconscious way of having to take his orders when I was a kid. So then I was in his bed and he put his finger inside of my vagina. And he did the same thing to me that those military and cops did to me. So, and then he tried to shame me to make me sound like when I responded to the cues that they had already programmed me with. He said something like, I'm married, as if he was insulted. And anyway, that happened right before I met, or I got forced into meeting Alvaro Pardo and Henry again. So that's where James Cartwright comes into play. And the West Point people were really hostile and mean to me. When I then tried calling and wanted to talk to someone about later making a report, they harassed me. They're responsible for torture of me and my son, and for the kidnapping of my son. So I still thought there would be a few people that are normal somewhere, but no. Basically, there so far has been no one.